Hello everybody, how's it going today? Glowplasma231 here, back in day to talk about Märchen Crown, chapter number 17. This chapter is titled, The Thing That Connects Us. And first, I need to preface this video by saying a few things. Number one, sorry I'm getting this video out a day late. Normally these chapters come out on Wednesdays, and I'm recording this on a Thursday and getting it uploaded on a Thursday. My bad about that, just I'm back in college, things are getting busier, I've got a whole lot on my plate now, so it's one of those things where I'm going to try to keep these series as consistent and everything as I can, but that doesn't always work as I want it to, right? And also, I really don't think that's going to be a problem, because if you guys have not heard the news, of course, Oshinoko ended late last year along with one of Asa Akakasa's other works called, what was it called? Renai Daiko or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. It also ended last year in 2024 along with Oshinoko. And this year, Märchen Crown started. Of course, it started in what was that, March or something around there. And of course, now we're to the point where there have been 17 chapters published in Young Jump magazine, pretty much, right? And the really weird thing is, okay, Asa Akakasa actually started a brand new manga yesterday at the time of recording this video, on Wednesday, one that was called CBR, or Crazy Raccoon Battle Royale. It is a little bit of an interesting series that seems to be about oh, hey, it's Battle Royale with an esports team called Crazy Raccoon. The art is by a artist called Ando, and the storyboard composition is by a person named Hijora. And this Hijora person has worked on the Welcome to Demon School Irumikon Iru Mafia edition, I guess. I don't particularly know what that is, but that's what the Reddit post says on r/manga, right? And okay, that's pretty interesting. It sort of is a little bit weird that Asa Akakasa is writing a Battle Royale manga when that's what I figured this manga was actually going to be was a Battle Royale manga, but okay, whatever, that's a little bit interesting, right? And then later that day, on of course Wednesday, the 20th, we got another very interesting piece of news. And that is that Asa Akakasa, the author of course, Kaguya-sama Oshinoko, Märchen Crown currently, has started his second new manga in a single day with an artist called Shiromanta, who has previously written the series My Senpai is Annoying, and it's about a VTuber called Karubi Momotaru on the Comic How web app. Which, okay, that's weird. I never thought I would be sitting down here today and talking about something that happened where Asa Akakasa started two brand new manga in one day. And of course, it's not like he's taking on all these manga on his own. It sort of is working like how these other stories happen. Hey, he comes up with the writing ideas in general. And then of course, for Märchen Crown, for instance, we have Asa Chika and Asa Okura, who are also doing extra work for it with doing artist stuff and production design stuff, respectively, right? And that seems how it's going to be going with this CBR Crazy Raccoon Battle Royale. And then it's oh yeah, would you look at that? There's now a series about a VTuber guy. So it's that's very weird and random. Which really begs the question, what is going on with Märchen Crown? As we'll be getting into in this chapter, this is a very interesting one. And one that I wasn't really expecting, but a chapter I think really gives us the telltale signs that I really don't think this series is going to be lasting that much longer, because if I have to say anything, it seems like Asa Akakasa has lost the want to write this series, if you sort of get what I'm saying, right? We had this whole idea, and this whole idea I've really been thinking and cooking in my own brain of hey, maybe this is a battle royale manga, and oh, there's all these princesses and all these cursed princes, and they're off to try to get this Märchen Crown, something that'll make all of their dreams and wishes come through, pretty much, right? And that's really what I've been thinking for the longest time. And of course, currently we are in this bigger battle where it's hey, Rapunzel is here along with Cinderella, and they're not really the ones doing the battling. The ones who are doing the battling in this scenario are King Ila, who is Cinderella's pretty much betrothed and all of that, and Mikel, who is Rapunzel's person, right? And of course, Lafina has been here the entire time as well. And the two of them were just battling, and Ila took this centipede form using all of his cursed abilities and powers, and was going through and was just completely overwhelming Mikel, to the point where he ran Mikel completely through. He gave Matoji pretty much, giving him a big hole in his stomach. And the end of last chapter was Ila pretty much ripping Mikel apart in the moment, and Mikel's head and body were separated, and Rapunzel had gone up at the end of last chapter and grabbed Mikel's head in her arms and just held it there and was just crying as she was hugging it to her body. And that's where we ended chapter number 17, or chapter number 16. This is chapter number 17. What am I talking about, right? And this chapter, again, is titled The Thing That Connects Us. And my key ideas going into this chapter were, okay, you know what, maybe Mikel will actually die here and Rapunzel will go, the witch will come back in and pretty much, and maybe Rapunzel will have to go live in a tower for a while, and over time she'll get a brand new prince and one that she has to learn to love after what happened with Mikel to her and all that other various stuff, and really a tale about getting this dream that they are still looking for and beating Ela, getting a little bit of revenge, but also learning that maybe life isn't so bad after all. That's where I thought maybe this series is going. I don't really know, right? But this chapter really shows us that that's not where the story is going in the slightest. As the beginning of this chapter is really a very interesting thing, where we see that Rapunzel is sitting here holding Mikel's head in her arms, and it sort of seems like these two characters' thoughts are really entwined with each other, as really it just starts as Rapunzel just says, like, Mikel, like, you're so cold in my arms, and Mikel just thinks, like, yeah, Rapunzel. And she thinks, like, hey, I'm sorry, this is all my fault, I should have just stayed in that tower forever. If only I kept my word to Madam Witch, and I just should have waited there for all of your daily visits, Mikel. And Mikel's like, no, it's all my fault, Rapunzel. I'm the one who ignored my aunt's warnings and crossed the forest to take you out of that tower. And in these moments, we just see a lot of these ideas of, like, yeah, Mikel's body is not connected to his head currently, and, like, we just see Rapunzel smiling here, just whole idea of, like, hey, Mikel still came for her no matter what. As she just thinks, like, oh, that's really funny, Mikel. It looks like both you and I are both problem children who don't really listen to reason, right? And Mikel just thinks, like, yes, we for sure are, but you know, I think there's some good that came of it too. And after all, Rapunzel, I met you and I fell in love with you. As we just see some images of Rapunzel crying tears onto Mikel's head here in the moment. As Mikel just thinks, like, hey, I'd gladly take on any amount of pain, endure any curse for a life of having never known the joy of loving you. And Rapunzel just looks very happy to hear all this as she thinks, like, oh, Mikel, that's why it is, isn't it? No matter how tattered and broken and down you became, you never stopped thinking of me. As we also see all the antagonists here in the room as well. Of course, Cinderella and King Ela. Of course, Ela in his big, like, centipede thing. I still can't take this design seriously. It's super stupid and random, right? But of course, here in the moment, we just see the two of them looking at these final moments, the end of both Mikel and Rapunzel's story. As Rapunzel just says out loud, wiping all the tears away from her eyes, like, hey, so I won't waver anymore either, Mikel, or deny this feeling within my heart any longer. I love you, Mikel. We will always be together forever, forever, and ever, always. And we just see that Rapunzel is here, grabs Mikel's head, brings it close to her own, and of course, the two of them give each other a kiss. Of course, with Rapunzel, like, holding Mikel's head. It's honestly a very nice panel that we see here on page number 8 of the chapter, even if it is, like, a little random of, like, oh man, it's a full page spread. I do like the framing around this entire thing. It's almost like a picture frame, like a very nice one with all these flower-based elements. I can only imagine it being, like, a nice green or brownish color all around. And we just see Mikel and Rapunzel share their first kiss here in the moment. Wow, that's really neat. Mikel's got vines coming out of the bottom of his head. Wow, that's crazy, man, right? And Mikel's brain just thinks, like, hey, we'll always be together, Rapunzel, forever and ever and always. And he's like, wait a second. I see now. I understand. I get it now, Rapunzel. As all of a sudden here in the moment, it's a nice tender moment, well, not anymore, right? As Mikel's main body, that of course was like detached from his body, starts to shoot off all of these vines here in the moment, and they almost like burst out all together, right? And Ela's like, what is this? Like, the curse is yielding to him, right? And as this happens, we see like it just like lashes out in every direction, really going towards and like attacking everything but Rapunzel here in a moment. And like we see that Lafina almost has to like jump and dodge out of the way, right? As we also see that where Mikel's head is, all of the vines are tangling around that, of course, where Rapunzel is still holding the head here, right? As we just get some narration saying that chaos takes shape, converging into the form of the one who seeks to protect his own companion. Cinderella sort of realizes what's going on here, and she sort of looks up to Ela in her wheelchair and is like, hey, Ela, King Ela, you need to stop him quickly, right? And of course, Ela listens to all this reason, moves forward using his centipede body, and just goes towards and tries to fight and almost pierce through Mikel once more, right? as we just get what Mikel's thinking here in a moment of like, hey, Rapunzel, I've been thinking ever since I met that man that you and I were a lot like those two. But the thing is that something was definitely different. But now I finally know what our difference is. Of course, talking about these two couples here in a moment, Ela, Cinderella, and Mikel and Rapunzel, what the difference forming all of those like key beliefs is. As Mikel just thinks like, hey, the thing is that between you and me, the thing that connects us is not despair. As we just see like, oh my gosh, wow, this is crazy. All of these like cherry blossoms and all of this stuff is falling here in the moment outside and around the castle. As Ela just comes through trying to pierce through Mikel here in the moment. As we just see that Mikel here in the moment, the glass sword may be no more, but Mikel has created his own sword here in the moment. As we see that Mikel has taken on a brand new form. And to be fair with you, I really don't know what I think about this form. We see it in a very interesting 2-page spread at the very end of this chapter, where Mikel, in his hand, it almost looks like he's got like all of his muscle tendons and ligaments and all of these various things, like they've all been created using the vine plant matter. And they go around all in a sword that Mikel is holding in his hand that also is made out of the same plant and vine matter, maybe like the same like steel sort of whole deal that Ela has to be able to make his like outside of it, his armor of his centipede body. And there's thorns running all around it, and Mikel's design here is just random and weird. It's the best way I can really describe it. His head is also a very interesting thing to where it's like this bundle of like vines coalescing together, but there's not really any of like the true thorny vines that make it all up. It's a little weird, right? But here in the moment, we just see that Ela has gotten his like front view like shattered a little bit from Mikel's sword here. And we just see that Ela just says like, oh, so you've awakened, have you, Mikel? You've awakened to true love. And that's where we end off this chapter. I guess that sort of means that the forms that these two characters are taking currently are called their true love forms, presumably. This is Ela's, is this centipede, and Mikel's is this weird human plant muscle tendrily looking thing, right? I don't particularly know what this is, right? But this is a really interesting chapter, being like, that's where it ends on this review of like, oh my gosh, the power of true love. Wow, that's crazy, right? On one hand, I do think this chapter has a lot of very nice things in it. The whole idea of like, hey, Mikel, you're cold, and just the very wholesome and nice conversation that these two have just going back and forth. I do really like it a lot. But there is a little bit of a weird thing to where it's like, oh man, Mikel just revived himself a third time in this series. Because if you remember, wow, he was murdered once, he was murdered twice, make it 3 times, right? And of course, there's that whole thing about comedy bits. It's like, hey, whenever you overuse a joke more than 3 times, it sort of loses its value. And I'm really feeling that with Märchen Crown. If Mikel dies again and has to be brought back by the power of love or whatever, like, I don't know if I want to read a story like that, right? And of course, I think the series is probably coming to its end. It seemed like there was a whole idea of the Battle Royale, and as I mentioned earlier, Asa Akakasa is making a Crazy Raccoon Battle Royale manga now, so it's like, okay, whatever, then that's a little weird. And I don't know, just my thoughts on this chapter are really, really mixed. I have to say, though, I do really like the moment where Mikel is just thinking like, hey, Rapunzel, what's the difference between me, you, and Rapunzel, or what's the difference between me, you, Mikel and Rapunzel, and Cinderella and King Ela? And the difference is that our relationship, we're not connected by the despair that these two feel. Of course, the whole idea of like, oh man, the old Bellina, now Cinderella, was rejected by everybody, and Ela was like, hey, maybe we can do the same thing. We're both missing a foot, pretty much, right? And all the moments that happen there, and I do like the whole idea of like, we are connected by love, not despair. I think that's a really nice moment, but at the same time, I don't know, it's a little weird at the same time. I don't particularly love Mikel's design. I don't know. I feel like at this point, I'm now just rambling on about how I don't particularly like this chapter. I do think there were good parts of it. I'd probably give it like, I don't know, a 5, a 4 out of 10 maybe. Wasn't the best thing I've ever read, but also not the worst. But with that, yeah, that's really all I've got to say about chapter number 17 of my Märchen Crown, the thing that connects us. So yeah, if you guys did enjoy this video, I've covered every single other chapter of Märchen Crown as they have released. Normally, if in like a few days, like I said, I know this video is coming out a day or two late. My bad. Next week, I will try to do better on that. And speaking of next week, yes, we do get a chapter next week. I guess it's now 6 days being when I'm releasing this on 8/27 of 2025, August 27th. Of course, that'll be August 28th in the morning of Japan. So yeah, we'll have a chapter next week. It's not one of these like, hey, oh, we didn't have a chapter. We have a chapter. We didn't have a chapter. We have a chapter thing. So cool to have a few chapters in a row. But really, I just don't know how much longer this series is going to run. And I sort of feel my love waning for this series once more like it did initially. It's like a really weird and I guess a good roller coaster ride where it's like, hey, we had a very interesting high start and it dipped down pretty low. It got back up a little bit and sort of like now it's just coasting on that way back down. And hopefully it builds back up all the way to the beginning, right? But we will just have to see in due time. And no, I'm not covering Asa Akakasa's other manga that he put out. I covered this series, I know, because I'm like, man, I want to, like, read the next thing of the Guided Ocean Oko, the series that I really enjoyed and read on this channel, right? And I don't know where we're going from here. But with all that out of the way, I will catch you guys next time. Again, the place for all the Märchen Crown videos in the card of this video, in the description box down below. And with all of that, yeah, I'll catch you guys next week for Märchen Crown chapter number 18. Again, this is chapter number 17, titled The Things That Bind Us, or The Things That Connect Us. My bad. Sorry for using the wrong word there. But I will catch you guys next time. This will be Glowplasma, signing out. Bro, how does the man do 2 manga in one day? Like, new manga, like, I can't believe this. All right, I'll catch you guys next time.